now because I think that my opening video is being wonky. Hi, it's me. I can see me now, which means you can. Woo! My video, I swear, my opening video is kind of a diva. Just wanted to be there and hang there and just be the star of the show today. Little did it know that I was sitting here waiting, and so I am here now. So welcome, everyone. Thanks for watching Social Glue powered by Restream. I am your host, Rachel Moore. I am sporting my Restream shirt, which is quite comfy today. But I hope you're all doing well. If you don't mind, drop in the chat. Where are you watching from today? I love seeing all the places people join from. I've had people from the Philippines on here before, and India, and also obviously the United States a lot because that's where I'm from. But it's always mind-boggling to me how much this show can bring us together. So it's great to see everybody here. But just a reminder again, you are in the right place. If you're watching Social Glue powered by Restream, I come here every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, and we just hang out for about a half hour right here, broadcasting on LinkedIn and YouTube and Twitter a lot of the time as well. And basically what we do on the show is we run through some social media stuff, all the things that are bringing us together. So first, we always go through the news, so Social Glue news segment, which we talk about what's latest in the news important to social media marketers or just marketers in general. Then we bring on a Social Glue shout out guest, always someone I like to shine a spotlight on who works in social media and marketing. And we do a Social Glue question of the week. These are the questions that are burning the brains of business people out there, whether they know social media or not. So we always try to add value with that. And of course, show off the expertise of each week's guest because they're smart. They're smart people. And then we always wrap with an original social media haiku. I love it because it's the one way that I can actually be poetic is I can make a haiku. I can do it. One time I did a sonnet about social media, and that happened to be one of the best blog posts on my website, which was really weird, but who knew that, poetry just resonates with people. So just a quick reminder, you are watching this through the power of Restream. I use Restream to go live on the show, and I'm able to broadcast to multiple places. You can actually broadcast to up to 30 different channels on Restream. I pick LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter because that tends to be where I float. But you can also do Facebook, you can do Twitch, you can do, and a bunch of other channels that I think are prevalent around the globe that I haven't dabbled in. So check it out. But that's what is going to bring you the magic of today's show. I get to show you things on the screen, bring in my guests, and so on and so forth. I also wanted to do a quick call out for the winners of Restream stuff from this last month. So I don't know if you knew, but every time for all the guests that appear on this show and join me here on the screen, I add them to a random drawing at the end of a month. And my months for the show end in the middle of the month. And randomly pick winners. So one of my guests each month wins 6 months free of Restream Pro. Right. And then another couple of guests can win a month free of Restream Pro. And then for anyone who didn't get those first tiers of random pickings, they get swag. They can get a nice t-shirt like this and all the stickers and all that stuff. So there are giveaways happening. It might be a little bit of an incentive. If you're a social media pro and you want to be a guest on the show, not just to show off your smarts. I mean, you're in the seat. I want to make sure you get airtime and people can recognize how amazingly brilliant you are with social media, but also so you can win stuff. I'm a big believer in giving and giving and giving. I mean, that's how we get. And it's also just how I feel good. So I like it. So please do. If you are inclined to be a guest on the show and you are a social media pro, I welcome you to do so. All right. That was a lot of celebrating and shouting out. Let's move on to our social media news segment on Social Glue. So first up, and I will share my screen here, and let me just get myself arranged so we can just see everything nicely. Oh, perfect. So first step, LinkedIn is doubling down on the gig economy. So I'm not sure if you're all aware, LinkedIn already had a tool or has a tool that you can use today. It's free, by the way. You don't have to have a premium account. You can use ProFinder on LinkedIn. If you're a freelancer, people can go on there and actually ask for proposals and quotes and things like that on the things that you're good at and the services you provide. But they're going to expand this a bit through a new thing called marketplaces. And it's so there's 740 million users can find and book freelancers. I've dabbled in freelancing. I used to fully run my own business, but I do a little bit of stuff here and there. Some of you build your whole brand and business on freelancing, on taking on clients and working on the 1099, as a contract basis for people. So this is actually really going to help with that. It's kind of working against other firms like Upwork and Fiverr, trying to compete with those. And the process would also include development of a digital wallet. You can actually do the transactions, the payments right in the marketplace. Pretty interesting considering, Facebook's been on this forever, right? And now LinkedIn's finally saying, hey, let's get into this. Let's work this out. And I think it's also a response to the state of work we have today. Middle of hopefully getting toward the end of a pandemic, a lot of people trying to just make their way, earn some dollars where they can, whether they're underemployed or even unemployed now. So I think it's great. And they also seem like they're going to be incentivizing those content creators, which you are talking to one, and you will be seeing one later too on the show. So interesting goings on there at LinkedIn. And by the way, for those of you who are still recovering from the outage of LinkedIn yesterday, we made it. It's fine. Got some weird codes going on there, but hey, things happen, right? So thank you all for bearing with that. It wasn't my fault, but I did notice it like right away. And man, I haven't had a tweet have that many that much engagement for a while. Where it's like everybody's like, it's down for me too. Freak out, freak out. All right, moving on to the next one. This one nicely ties into today's topic too, especially our question we're going to be talking about with our shout out guest today. McDonald's again proves it doesn't even need to say its name. So I don't know how many of you are, how long you've been aware of McDonald's. So I will tell you, I have a special affinity with McDonald's. My mom actually worked at a McDonald's when I was very young, and she got to eat there for free, and so did we. So I ate at McDonald's at least a couple times a week. I don't eat there as often anymore, but I know them. And what's interesting with their brand on this one is that they have basically counted on the fact that so many of us recognize McDonald's. And this is from adweek.com. The brand, and it's courtesy of their designer, Leo Burnett London, they're building a campaign on the strength of the Golden Arches. And this is present in Europe right now, but it's basically about how they will deliver to homes McDonald's food. And so it's essentially just one of the arches, and not even the whole arch. I mean, if you can see from the graphic there, they're basically tying the arch and saying, hey, it's landing at an office, or it's landing at a condo, or it's landing at a home. And just hinting that, hey, McDonald's can be at your home even if you're not leaving it, right? So it's just amazing how, like, you can even just see that graphic and know that's McDonald's. It's not even the double arches. I did see some people on social comparing it with the arches in the arch in St. Louis, which interesting. It'd be interesting if they actually tried to kind of go hard on it in St. Louis because of the arch. But I love that they are tying that in. But seriously, this again speaks to when you are good at your brand and you become that kind of household name, and even just seeing something. They even had an example on the article in Adweek about how McDonald's put out billboards that was just the font. It didn't even include any pictures of food, not the golden arches. It was just words, McMuffin. We all know where that comes from. So wild, but shows again the value of a strong brand. So that'll tie into our discussion later. And lastly, for those of you who work in advertising, particularly social advertising, where you're doing pay-per-click and things like that, there are some great lessons brought forth in marketingland.com. They did an article on lessons we can learn from 2020. And there's 3 main points that they make in the article. One is talking about how everyone, or most people right now, are pretty much a homebody. And that has led to convenience and people trying to realize that how are people spending their money then if they're bound at home? Home improvement, home office goods. I know I'm a consumer of that. Consumer electronics, gamers, hello. Landscaping services, anything that makes quarantining more bearable, workout stuff. People may be focusing on their automobiles, trying to get a nicer ride since they aren't flying as much or hardly at all. So those were some big lessons learned from 2020 and ways to pivot. Again, I mentioned convenience. People are trying to figure out things where they can access stuff conveniently without having to go out. You're talking again about delivery and things like that, remote work, a lot more screen time going on with people at home. I mean, that's huge for digital advertisers, right? So that's really important. And of course, dining, getting stuff delivered to your home or your home office, or even if you are at an office and you're not wanting to go out and expose to everybody, you can do that. Another thing they bring up as a concern, which actually I experienced this firsthand yesterday, supply chain disruptions. I don't know how many of you have tried to order a Peloton. I haven't, but I know a lot of people who have, and the delivery time on that is pretty far out because it's just a fact of trying to actually get the stuff to make the Peloton and ship it. I ordered myself a new laptop. I'm not getting it for another 3 weeks because it again has supply chain issues and also demand. I actually walked my daughter yesterday to our nearest Starbucks. We tend to do that maybe once a week, every 2 weeks or something. And I always get her a hot cocoa and myself a chai latte. And I usually use my little Starbucks app when we're a few blocks away to order it on mobile. And then we just go up to the window, grab it, and we go. I was troubled to find out yesterday. It was a small inconvenience because they have other stuff. They were out of hot cocoa. I mean, it was just I'm like, oh my gosh, they're out of hot cocoa. Supply chain. And we actually got up to the window at Starbucks there, and they mentioned that, well, there are some things on our menu that are not available due to supply chain issues. And I was like, well, that makes total sense considering what's happening in Texas, even not even just the pandemic, but stuff is shut down. And so it was really interesting to look at that and think, that's going to impact advertising as well. There are disruptions. There's going to be delays. Great way for marketers to step in and just really try to alleviate that and say, hey, just recognize we're still here to serve you, provide stuff. It's going to take a little longer. Worth the wait. Emphasis on worth the wait. So really cool stuff, interesting insights. And I want to just give a quick thank you to Alexa. She's actually my production assistant for Social Glue powered by Restream, setting up a lot of these articles and making sure we all kind of know what's going on. So Alexa, if you're watching, thank you so much for helping put these together. But good stuff around Social Glue and the news that we're bringing you today. If I didn't cover a news item and you'd like us to cover it in the future, drop it in the comments. Happy to cover that for you and make sure we go there. All right, we are to the next segment of Social Glue powered by Restream, which is our shout out segment. I am really excited. And again, I love reaching out to social media pros of all levels. Some of them I know personally, some of them I've never met, maybe even just virtually, but not much. But Christine, I know, we've been on our same social circles for a while. And I have to tell you, when it comes to our topic and our questions that we're going to cover in a little bit, she is a master. She is a queen. And so we are happy to welcome to Social Glue powered by Restream today, Christine Gritmon. Welcome to Social Glue. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, I like that. Restream. If Restream wants to pay me to rebrand that way, I'd go for it.
It was funny because I was on a Twitter chat for Content Marketing World yesterday, and we were talking about live streaming and about how, hey, accidents are going to happen, like Restream, but you roll with it, and sometimes you can just make hay out of it. So thank you for rolling with it.
Oh yeah, and I'm live every Friday, and I've been live for years now. Every single week, there's something.
There's always a little something. And honestly, I think it breaks up monotony. See, I need to say tongue twisters before I go live. I should make sure I start doing that. But it breaks that monotony up. And also, we're all human, dude. Yeah. Let's relate a little bit and talk about how that stuff makes it even better. So let's talk a little bit now. I love to give my guests the opportunity to tell your origin story. Everyone's got a different one. And sometimes I think one of our guests last week was talking about a broken heart actually led her to start social media marketing. I'm hoping yours isn't like that, that distraught or anything, but things can lead to good things. But Christine, tell us about your origin story in social media marketing.
It's interesting. I can sort of tie it to a trauma in a weird way. So this is career number 4. I was in kind of marketing support for corporate beauty. I was never a marketer because they stayed till 9 p.m. and but marketing-based stuff. But social media wasn't a thing yet. Then I was a creative freelancer, graphic designer and stuff. Then I was a journalist. And interestingly enough, journalism is how I got into social media. It was the first time that I had used it professionally for a goal. And it was a fairly new tool to the newsroom. So people were just figuring out how to use social media, discovering if we do things this way, it gets this many clicks. If we do it that way, it gets that many clicks. Personal branding was also a fairly new thing to the newsroom because previously the journalists had been trained to stay out of the story. And now they were expected to develop Twitter followings. And so I took very naturally to all of that. And I wound up getting promoted to a position within the newsroom where I helped other people get their personal brands out there on social media and also through in real life events and also doing social media stuff. I didn't officially do social media for the paper, but I was a key part of some of the experiments we were running. And after a while, I said, you know what? People in the community were starting to ask me to give talks on social media. And I had all these connections in the small business community locally. And also another big factor is I had recently turned 35. I had had my second child, and I had a big realization of this is a time in life when people, especially women, disappear.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to fight extra hard against that. I went the opposite direction. I'm like, I'm going to take this personal brand and run with it and use it to launch a business. And ironically enough, even though that's my origin story and so much of it was personal branding on social media, when I started my company in 2016, I still didn't make the connection of specializing in personal branding. It wasn't until a few years went by and people commented that my own personal brand was really strong and all of that, I didn't really start focusing on personal branding as a specific element of my work to sort of take out and offer independently until a few months ago. And since I made that connection, it has just clicked so hard. And it's really nice after a few years to finally realize, oh, so this is where I'm supposed to be right now.
Do you think that the pandemic, I'm sure everyone gets this question asked on virtually every interview, anytime, anywhere right now. Yeah. Do you feel like the pandemic and just the, now everybody's got to rely on digital. Did that impact, do you think that this made a kind of a natural shift for you to be focusing on that and people wanting it?
I think a little bit. I think because I did notice in 2020 really actively, I actually had a fantastic year for my business in 2020. I had a weird survivor's guilt about that for a little while until I realized that my job was literally helping other people save their businesses. And then I stopped feeling so bad. But I realized there was a lot less hesitance about social media in 2020 for small businesses who I help, but then also for professionals of all sorts, because I think there was more of a realization of you're either in it, you're taking active, proactive action and getting out there to save your business, or you're saying, you know what, I'm just not up to this. But there's a lot less middle. I found a lot of my sales calls, there was a lot less sort of thinking about it and trying to figure out. A lot more people contacted me when they were already ready. And so I got a lot more yeses than usual. And then also people who weren't ready kind of knew it, and they didn't say they weren't ready, but like not sure. There was a lot less wobbling. They either were ready to show up or they weren't.
Yeah.
And I think that it probably impacted my specializing a little bit more, partially because I had more of an opportunity to see my favorite part of the work that I was doing with people. And also I finally solved a puzzle. So I had the problem where the people who were responding the most to what I was doing, especially online, were the people who didn't need me. The small business owners who were scared of social media weren't seeing me on social, like by definition. Meanwhile, the people who were in my field or in other fields, they were seeing me. They were thinking I was killing it, but they weren't paying me. And then I realized, you know what? If plenty of marketers don't know how to market themselves, there's plenty of people out there who are in very similar fields to myself who don't know how to do it for them, for their own business. And they want to be behind the scenes, but they're starting to realize that maybe that's not actually the best way to go. They're starting to realize that they do need to step forward in a bigger way than they had before. And once I solved that puzzle, I've had so many more opportunities, not only with an incredible caliber of client, but also opportunities like this, opportunities like online summits and conferences. It's just been fantastic because I have something to say now.
You always had something to say, but it seems like it's very focused into.
Yes, but now it's something useful.
That's right. That's right. Well, and that's the whole point about that, which, this segues perfectly. Again, you're a great guest for this too, and for the question we're going to talk about, talking about what people need, and realizing if they know what they need, and then how you as the person providing that service can find them and give them what they need. But we want to talk a little bit about brand. And again, you have such a strong brand. We were talking about this earlier, just even seeing, you come on and you got your red hair, you got the red. I mean, you are rocking your brand. And I know when I see you on anywhere on social, it's consistent. I always know that that's your stuff. I can scroll right through my Twitter feed. I can see a red background, but like, I bet that's Christine's gift. Right. So I love that, you're able to provide that know-how. So let's get into that know-how right now for people who are wondering. So I'm going to go ahead and pop our question up on the screen, and let me do a little bit of arranging of our screens here. Oops, hold on. I know, right? I'm trying to get this all pretty and make it happen. There we go. That's what I want. Okay, so this week's social glue question of the week.
Boom.
And we always try to put these questions as if they are, when they're posed by an actual person. So of course, your experience is gonna, lead the question and the answer to wherever it needs to go. What is the most important aspect of building a personal brand? What would you say to that?
I would say it's consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And with a caveat though, because consistency doesn't mean that you are locked into the same thing forever and ever. You evolve as a person, your interests may evolve, your specialty may evolve, you're allowed to evolve. But I think that having some degree of consistency to how you show up, whether that means you've got a red background and red lipstick, whether that means a content type. I know some people who are very consistent because they're killing it with TikTok or Reels, that type of content. I know them for that content. Some people, they keep showing up because they write really useful blogs, right? So they don't have to, dye their hair to do that. They have branded themselves with authority and with a specific content type. Maybe they show up in certain places. There's people who are just really doing a great job at building community on Twitter. There's people who are just, getting a lot of great interaction on their Instagram stories. Just some degree of consistency in how you show up, whether it's content format, whether it's topic expertise, whether it's personality, whether it's, platforms, some sort of consistent way that you show up, because that also keeps you with a stronger foundation when you do decide to evolve, because they can still recognize you. There's still something about you that's recognizable that sort of supports that launch in another direction. So you're never starting from scratch.
Yep.
I'll never forget, there was a business book that I was reading where this guy had come from a very high-ranking corporate career. And he was talking about how when he started his own consultancy, he had to start from scratch, just starting from zero. And I almost threw the book across the room because he was not starting from zero. He had a Rolodex full of high-level executives that he had spent decades building relationships with. That is not zero. When I left the local newspaper to launch Christine Gritmon Inc., I wasn't starting from zero because I had a network. I had people who knew me for certain things. And again, they knew me not as a social media manager. They knew me because I was very involved in the local small business community and shining a light on those people. So it was not that hard to sort of parlay that into, I'm continuing to help those people shine a light on what they're doing.
That's such a great point. And, you brought it up earlier, talking through origin story and even realizing, even in just this last year, saying, I need to go this direction. You can make those adjustments. You can make those changes. I even think about, going back to McDonald's, which we talked about in the news segment, is that they've made changes throughout the years. And some of it may be like, oh, we're going to offer breakfast all day, or, here's what we're going to add, or now we're going to be healthy, or healthier. You can change all that. But like you said, if you're consistent in what you're known for, whether that's golden arches, whether that's really fun gifts with the red background that, get retweeted by celebrities, which I know happen.
Yes.
But yeah, but and even more substantial than that, it's knowing that, hey, I can trust you to be this, whether or not you're telling me how to build my personal brand, or you're helping me with my digital marketing and stuff like that. You're the same, and people can know what to expect when they arrive and land, on your feeds and on your account and in your in-mail and stuff like that, to know.
Yeah, like if someone has been following me on Twitter for a while and then they start following me, they connect with me on LinkedIn or they follow me on Instagram, they're not going to see the same stuff. I do show up a little differently in those places, but I will be so recognizably me. They will not be like, wait, this is the side of Christine I've never seen. No, it's not really.
That's right. No, and that's a great point. And so for anyone watching this too, and if we're talking personal brand, which I think you're right, lots more people who speak on behalf of brand, whether they're in sales or marketing or the CEO, or they're just somebody who's like, hey, I can't talk to people in person anymore. I guess I need to care about my brand on digital. Let me go talk to Christine about that. But anyone who cares about brand, you've offered some great insights too, just things that you need to do. And that consistency is so necessary for anyone who's trying to build a brand. So, Christine, thank you for being so consistent with your branding and your knowledge. And I know you're spreading it far and wide. I know we're not your only event today, so I appreciate your time on just being on Social Glue today and sharing your smarts as our Social Glue shout-out.
Happy to be here.
It was awesome. You're so awesome. So everyone, again, I've got Christine's LinkedIn profile link there on the screen. Go follow her, connect with her on LinkedIn, and you'll see her elsewhere too, but she'll be the same everywhere you see her. Christine, thank you again so much for being our guest on Social Glue today.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Have a great day.
You too.
I love that segment because seriously, every single time, new smarts, new insights, stuff that you may think you know already, but it's great to hear it from not just me. I mean, I know stuff, but I love being able to let people showcase what they know. So thank you all for watching that. And again, if you want to be a shout out guest here on Social Glue, visit our website, really.social/social glue. Yeah, there's no com in there. It's a special domain. You're not going astray. It's really.social/social glue. But go fill out your form and be on the show. We'll talk about what you're smart at, what you know, and get some spotlight shined on you. Before we head into the haiku, which is going to wrap up our day in the most fabulous way ever. I love it. Just want to remind everybody that you're seeing this whole thing unfold before your eyes thanks to Restream. You might be watching this on YouTube or LinkedIn or on Twitter, and maybe you're watching the replay and you're like, dude, you're like sharing the screen and sharing people's comments and sharing captions that you get to write yourself and your guests. I'm sorry, you get to like do different shots. That's really interesting. Did you know too that on Restream, I can actually adjust my guest's volume? Like if I get someone who's really quiet, Christine was not quiet, but if I get someone who's really quiet, I can actually bump their volume up myself. It's kind of like having my own mixer in the studio. It's pretty cool. So do try out Restream. Use my little short link there, bit.ly/Rachel uses Restream. It's all lowercase. You can go try it out. And remember, all my guests have a chance to win for use of Restream. It's pretty cool. All right, let us segue into the haiku. So for those of you who don't run poetic, it's fine. I really don't either. I like poetry. I don't read it often, but I dig haikus, and they're just, for me, easy to write. They're quippy. They fit great in a tweet. Oh my goodness. Because it's a 3-line poem, 5 syllables first line, 7 syllables second line, and 5 again on the third line, and they don't have to rhyme. So with that, let us bring on this week's Social Glue haiku. And this week it comes to us from fastblink.com. Social media. It is an engagement tool, not a megaphone. Ooh, way to hit it. That is right. It is not a one-way stream. It is not a like fire hose that you just, on everybody. No, it is an engagement tool. There should be the back and forth. That's perfect. Thank you, Fast Blink, for submitting that fabulous haiku. You can submit your own haiku again on our same website where you sign up to be a guest, really.social/social glue. I really should start doing tongue twisters before I get on this broadcast because apparently I need to. For each broadcast, we are here every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, right here on my LinkedIn feed, on my YouTube channel, and on my Twitter feed. You just got to follow me. I'm Rachel Moore, RS, anywhere you see it. But I'd love to hear your comments, hear what you think about all the smarts we shared on today's show, the news, the haiku, everything like that. and find a way to get involved because it's really cool. So thank you all for watching again. Social Glue powered by Restream. This is where we get crafty about that little thing called social media. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great week. Until next time, we'll be very social. Bye.